Hey, it's Shapiro, here we go. Knows the road rules better than most folks know. Ask your questions, bring the heat or keep it chill. He's got the answers and a license to spill. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you wanna hear. Badge, now a podcast star, navigating traffic laws near and far. Stop sign confusions or a signal light feud. Sean's the one to give you the right attitude. Yeah, ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you wanna hear. From this man. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie.
What is going on, my friends? It is Wednesday, and Wednesday means After Dark. Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. That's with me, Sean Shapiro, former police officer, guy who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, who is slightly under the weather. I recently traveled, and after coming home, I just find myself being a little sniffly. It's just a little less than perfect. You know, can't be perfect all the time. I got a big mug of tea. Yes, tea, ginger, lemon. In my big guy mug, it is literally I think it's a liter of cola. Do you know the reference? Please say you do. Anyway, I am hanging in. I see some names that I haven't seen in a while, so it's good to see. I see Liz, who's in here, and says, good evening, and hope you're keeping warm tonight. Good evening, good evening. I'm glad to be here. I am keeping warm. I haven't really gone outside today. Took the kids to school, and that was about it. Then hit away. I'm working on a bunch of projects, and that it's just they're very time consuming, and I've got no reason to go outside and see the light of day, really. Casper, I see you saying hi, and of course, Mr. Steak is here, who says, "Look at that cool guy." I'm sure that was the reference to the intro, as opposed to this less than cool guy now, who's like, ugh. But anyway, I didn't want to cancel. I didn't want to say no to hanging out, so. Here I am talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, because that's what's important to me, and I hope it's important to you too. Recently I've been talking a lot about the reduction in fatalities on the road, and we can talk more about it now. But what do you think? We had less of them. This is specific to the city of Toronto. I don't know the statistics across Canada or the United States, but in Toronto specifically, there were 10 fewer road fatalities as a result, traffic fatalities last year than they were the year before. 10 fewer. Right, 10 people who didn't die that could have died, I guess. 39 families. 39 families impacted. Now, I don't know if those were individuals, multiples in one vehicle, if it was one family, majority of them tend to be pedestrians, or at least there's an overrepresentation of pedestrians. Is that a big win to have 10 fewer deaths? So 39 instead of 49? I still think it's horrendous. That's just the city of Toronto. In any case, I am glad that fewer people lost their lives. That's a bonus, I guess. But I'm not ringing the bell saying we done something amazing. I was talking about this with Jerry Agar on the radio yesterday. In fact, it was on the live stream. I was in Florida. I was going to go to Disney. There's what is it called? Disney. Not downtown Disney. It's called Disney Springs. It's their restaurant, mall, shopping establishment. So I wanted to go to Blaze Pizza because I love Blaze Pizza. When I'm in Florida, I go to Blaze Pizza. And they have one in Toronto too, but I happen to think it's especially good when you're there at Disney when it's the most expensive place on earth. It's like a less expensive yet really tasty thing. If you've never tried Blaze Pizza, you should. In any case, there I had a terrible headache. I guess it was maybe the start of me getting sick when I was still in Florida, and I had like a migraine. I never get headaches. I got a terrible headache, and I went to bed. Did not go to Blaze Pizza. The reason I bring this up is because the next morning I found out there was a shooting there. They found a body. Okay. I bring this up because it's like the same thing. We had 10 fewer deaths in Toronto. Did we have 10 people who had migraines and didn't go out, but had they gone out, they would have got smoked by a car? It's just so random. It's so we're not doing better on the road necessarily, and we can't attribute the benefits of the fewer fatalities to anything other than the randomness of chance. People who didn't go out because they didn't go out. In any case, such happy thoughts, right? Mr. Steak sent a rose. Thank you, brother. That's appreciated. Casper says hi. Hi, Casper. How you doing? By the way, just throwing it out there, this is a pretty chill episode, a chill opportunity to talk. Whatever you want to talk about, traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, I'm here for you. There's no agenda here. We're just chatting, friends having a chat. I happen to have some knowledge about traffic and policing. If you want to know stuff and things about that, hey, great. If you want to talk about my trip to Disney, my cruise, I was on a Disney cruise as well. That was freaking amazing. Happy to chat about anything. All right. Level Above says, show many tickets to the wealthy elite get compared to the middle class. Show many tickets to the wealthy elite get compared to the middle class. Oh, you want to know how many people that are wealthy that get tickets compared to the middle class? How about this? I don't care how much they make. They break the law, they get a ticket. Can they afford lawyers to fight tickets? Maybe. It's still an expense, still an inconvenience. The goal of a ticket is not to differentiate your income bracket. It's to take care of the issue and dissuade you from doing it again. And yeah, if you got more money than God, you do what you want. And you want to just pay, and you don't care about your increase of insurance. You don't care if you can't, you know, insure your vehicle because your rates go up because your insurance. Then that's up to you. Like it's a choose your own adventure, my friend. If you drive like a jackass and you get tickets for it, it's on you and no one else. And yeah, the consequences may impact you more if you make less money than, let's say, somebody who's wealthy. But at the end of the day, it's still you, and you can totally avoid it. There's no defense. Like the argument that it impacts someone who has less money more so than someone who has lots of money is fair. But who gives a shit? Because if you're driving dangerously and you earn that ticket, it's your ticket. And that's it. There's no excuse. It's a distraction from the reality of people are choosing to do dumb stuff behind the wheel. But you're not wrong. Level Above says no one can afford to drive. Then don't drive. If you can't afford to drive because you did dumb stuff behind the wheel, then that's on you. You don't have to drive the newest, nicest car. You don't have to drive like you can drive economically. It doesn't cost you $5,000 a month if you don't drive a BMW. You don't have have a bad driving record. It's significantly less. I do appreciate that when you're young and you're starting out, it is more expensive. Hey, just a shout out if you're going to send a message in actually whatever platform you're in, because sometimes y'all get into conversations amongst yourselves. That's cool. But put the letter Q in front of your question so I know it's a question for me as opposed to anybody else. Liz wants to know what is this? Oh, this was actually brought up by on the radio. Did the use of speed cameras help with the slight reduction in fatalities? I don't think so because the speed cameras were there the years prior to. There was an increase in the use of them. They doubled the number of them. Maybe that increased it, but I wouldn't attribute it to that necessarily. But it is an interesting thing, and I can't say it one way or the other. Crystal says, "Did I ask for more snow here or there?" It's been like no snow. I got back. It's been warm weather since I got back, so I can't take credit, Crystal, for any. Well, is it snowing where you are? I'm melting where we are. Like we've got no snow. There's a little bit of accumulation, but it's wet roads, not snowy ones. Tracy, if I didn't already acknowledge you, I thought I said hi, but I just want to make sure that I did, in fact, acknowledge you. I need some tea. Stand by. Okay. Northern Bear 67 says, so reported a stunt driver who blows by me every morning. OPP has done nothing about it. The only way for them to do something about it would be to dispatch someone to the location in the anticipation of them coming back in hopes to catch them. Because your reports alone do nothing other than create a file, a dossier. And that file will help them should they catch this person, whether they're doing it there or anywhere else. But some people just don't learn. Look at the people who drive without licenses, who drive suspended. Someone in the live stream yesterday said that they were looking for, I think they were looking for good insurance rates after their second DUI. I mean, some people don't learn. Some people have a problem. Like the person who got the second DUI probably has a problem with alcohol and should probably get some help. But the people who choose to speed because they just don't care, that's a different story. Oh, I don't want to blow my nose on camera, but that might have to happen at some point. I mean, if I duck out, I'm taking care of Kleenex. All right. Mr. Steak wants to know if Florida is where you got a call about traffic conditions. Yes. So I was, for anyone who didn't see the video, I rented a house from a friend, and that house had a landline. People got into arguments with me in the comments saying, you're lying because I've never rented a house that had a telephone line. Anyway, there was a freaking telephone in the house. It rang. I'm like, who the hell's calling me? I answered, and it was a recorded auto dialer, like when the premier calls your house to try and get you to vote for him. Well, this one was telling you not to use the highway south of where I was because it was a major collision and all lanes were shut down. And I had never experienced a call like this before. I thought it was really cool. It was 1980s technology, but it was really cool because if I didn't turn on the TV or if I didn't have the internet, or ways or whatever to let me know, this is a really good way before I even consider leaving the house to know what's going on. So my question was like, do you think it's cool? I think it's cool. We don't have that here. Now, many people said if it was in Toronto, that phone would never stop ringing. Maybe so. And with ways telling you what's going on and plotting you out, yeah, maybe it's not necessary. But maybe for all the older generation, maybe they need it because they don't have ways. Maybe they're still on dial-up. Mr. Steak says, no, not Mr. Steak. We talked about Mr. Steak, who's awesome, by the way. Paul Coleman followed, and thank you, Paul, for following. Let's see what we got here. Crystal Rue says, right now where I'm at, only 2 hours away from you, we got like 10 to 25 centimeters of snow. Holy moly. That's a whole lot of snow. I love the snow. It's the ice I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of ice. Now, there's a ice fishing tournament coming up in, where the hell is it? My friend's organizing it, and for some reason, I'm going to blame my mild congestion to not remembering where it is. I'm not going to ruin it by. No, I'm not going to say the wrong place. I'm tempted to guess, but I really want to guess. No, I'm not going to guess. Okay. Lots of dots says, do you need a paper copy of your insurance in your car? Depends. Do you have an electronic copy? And I mean, electronic not being a photo of your insurance card, but a version of do you have an app on your phone that has a secure version of the card provided by the provider, the insurance provider? So if you have like the ABC insurance app, and it's giving you a secure version, not just a photo of your card. Like you don't just take your card and take a picture of it and put it in your photo album. That would not suffice. But if it's a version that is from the insurance provider and it's a secure app, then that would suffice. They changed the law a number of years ago. Otherwise, you avoid the $65 fine by having a paper copy of the ticket. And I don't know what the issue is. Like, you just need proof of insurance. Now, that is separate from not having insurance. You could have a proof copy that isn't valid, and you may find within 3 years getting a charge for drive no insurance because, oddly enough, when cops have downtime, maybe waiting in court for their trials, they do things like cross-reference all of the stops they made in the last week. That's what I used to do. And then I'd go knock on doors later to lay the charge for drive no insurance if that was what I found out was the case. Okay. Melvin says, I drive a D-class straight truck, local only, but Wednesday. Local only, but Wednesday. Can I just mark my log on duty for most days? I am not the right guy to ask about logs at commercial trucks. My understanding is you need to do your log appropriately whenever you're operating the vehicle. You can't do it in advance. Like this is my understanding, but I am not the aficionado or source of awesomeness when it comes to this. I never focused my time on trucks. I always wanted to take the course for commercial motor vehicles, and a number of my friends are commercial motor vehicle inspectors. And I would just call them, hey, I found something. It looks weird. Want to come by and have a look? And they did. And the stuff that I found was amazing. Like leaf springs that were broken. If it looks wonky, I just called a friend, and there was always someone to come by that knew more than me. And that was the joy of being part of a big police force, because you call people who know stuff. You don't have to know everything. Now I know a lot of stuff, and I love that I know stuff and I can share it with you, but I don't know everything. And this is one of the areas I don't know something about, because I would have just phoned a friend. I never really got into the logs and stuff because I was more interested in major flaws, major obvious flaws that I would be able to look at and go, that doesn't look good. That looks broken. And I found so many things. I actually drove by at one point someone who was driving with a light trailer that had been overloaded so heavily with sod that the triangle at the top of the trailer hits the tongue, I think it's called. So you have the square welded frame of the actual box. Then then you have the triangle at the end that goes to the tongue that connects to the vehicle. It snapped because they had overloaded it so much beyond it was what it was designed for. So wild, I say. Let me have a quick look here before I want to make sure I don't miss anybody on the Instagram, because there's a bunch of people on the Instagram or that had popped in to say hello. I want to make sure I don't miss any questions there. Different windows. We're currently broadcasting on a number of platforms. So if I'm not looking at your question or don't respond quickly, it's not because I don't love you. It's just that I'm looking at YouTube. So when I'm looking here off to the left or stage right, your right, my left, I can see Twitch, X, YouTube, a bunch of platforms. If I'm looking straight on, I'm looking at TikTok, and I've got Instagram in the middle. So just so you get an idea what's going on. Neil64 says, Toronto is the worst city to drive in. I don't know if I agree with that, because Toronto sucks for driving in many, many respects. Like nowhere faster are you going unless you're driving like a maniac in the middle of the night, which a lot of people do. You get a lot of high flyers that are entering the city. But once you get in the city proper, you're not going very fast, usually, especially in the winter, because no one's going fast. It's just bumper to bumper traffic, and it takes you 2 hours to get anywhere. I used to say anywhere in Toronto is an hour away from Toronto. But having just driven in Florida, wow, the driving's bad. Like I was in Orlando because I went to visit the mouse, and not only was it heavy traffic, like I was exhausted driving. Everywhere took forever. And then there were the crazy folks who were speeding at like ridiculous. It was already a high speed limit, but people driving with no care. Anyway. But at least it wasn't one-way roads everywhere. Yeah, Toronto does suck in many ways for driving. Metro Music wants to know what the best police service overall is in Southern Ontario. I can't really tell you that. I'm obviously biased. I worked for the Toronto Police for 24 years. I loved every minute of it. I did a lot of different jobs within the police service. Started as an auxiliary, worked as a court officer, became a supervisor in courts, became a sergeant in the auxiliary, and then became a police officer, then worked in divisional, in 12 division for a short time, went to traffic services, loved every second of that. I had a really good experience, and I know people who weren't happy in Toronto and went to other police services and then came back. I guess the grass isn't always greener, but I know people who work for York Regional Police and love it. I know people who work for Durham Regional Police, love it. I have friends with the OPP. They love it. Okay, they don't love it, but they like it a lot. I don't know. I will definitely say that you have I think you have the most opportunity in Toronto. It's the biggest city. Before I became a police officer, I talked to my very good friend And he's like, you got to work for Toronto. Cause I considered working for York Regional Police. I grew up in York Region. And I had actually applied the day or the week of the month I turned 18. I applied to York and I was like 2 points below the cutoff to get in. I was a little young. Uh, so I thought about becoming a York Regional Police officer. And this isn't at the time, is not to throw shade at York, 'cause it's a great service. My buddy says, if you travel anywhere and you say you work for Toronto, they'll go, oh, okay, I know where that is. But if you say I work for York Regional Police, they'll, uh-huh. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Toronto is Canada, just like the Blue Jays is Canada. Like it's the country's police service aside from the RCMP, and then they think you ride horses and hang out in igloos. Just saying. Okay. Pigeon says, sorry, what is this? Hold on, let's go back here. It's been 4 weeks. This is Northern Bear. It's been 4 weeks every day. It's been 4 weeks. Every day this guy passes comes and is doing over 130, I bet, in an 80. So in 4 weeks, every single I'm a prick. So I would probably, in addition to making the reports that you're making, if it's like the same date, same time, like Batman, I would probably call the media and say, I've made this report like a dozen times. I see this every day. What's going on? And maybe get some attention. Like the squeaky wheel does get the grease. That's just the reality of it. Pigeon followed, thank you. Suli followed, thank you. One team followed. Got some new followers. Love it. By the way, this is a thing I do on Wednesdays, but on Tuesdays I go live at 10 a.m. and I am considering doing some really early in the morning stuff. When I started the channel with the Toronto Police, I was going live at like 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 8 in the morning. And that was a really good time because people were I guess surfing before going to school and work. However, 10 o'clock is what I started doing because it coincided with the radio shows that I jump onto. But I think there's people who aren't available at 10 o'clock because they go to school and work, and I'm missing out, and we're missing out, and they're missing out, and everyone's missing out. So I might try and experiment with some different times too. Just like I started doing 9 o'clock at night because so many people want to hang out at 9 o'clock at night. I want to be there. Storm Games and Vlogs says, evening, Sean. Are you into the OHL or NHL? I'm into the not a hockey thing. I'm not a sports person. And I was just watching a video on YouTube a couple of days ago that said, it's just you have a different mentality. I just don't understand organized sports. I'll play sports, but I don't want to watch other people play it. Brandon says, hello, Sean and all from sunny Celebration, Florida, and had an Epcot day before a Corvette trip to the Keys. Hope y'all had an amazing day. Had an amazing day. I'm jealous. I was just in Celebration. I didn't know that Celebration is owned by Disney. Somebody told me that when I was there. When I was on the Disney Cruise Line, they told me that they were there or that it was owned by Disney. You get 99-year leases. You can't buy anything in Celebration, apparently. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I was told. Just saying. Why did I pick up my phone? Oh, I picked up my phone to go into, so I realized that I'm not logged in. I didn't want to do that. Hang on a second. I want to. No, cancel. Here we go. I just want to see. So I'm curious. Is it Aki? Aki? Is it Aki Andrew? Okay, we'll get to you because you're a little further down. Okay. What do we got? When did you retire? That's Keegan who wants to know. I left the Toronto Police Service. I think my last day was officially September 2nd, 2024. It feels like forever ago. And at the same time, feels like yesterday because I still talk to everybody on, I must have spent an hour on the telephone today with some folks, different folks for different reasons, all at traffic services. We talk police stuff. And I was helping. I designed a whole bunch of stuff for the Toronto Police. Logos and things because I dabble in graphic design and like for instance, if things that are going to be utilized, and I was really involved in the auto show. By the way, I'm going to the auto show. I'm going to go there as I'm going there as press, but I'm also going to help the Toronto Police out wherever I can. So if you're going to be going to the auto show this year, come see me or message me. We'll meet up there. Yeah, do some meetup stuff. Okay. But yeah, it's been September of 2024. Crazy. I can't get over how much time is flown. and I've done it's wild. I have to really go back. What have I done for the last like since leaving? I've done so many different things. Anyway, moving along. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm going to reintroduce myself for anyone who's popped in. My name is Sean Shapiro, and in September of 2024, I left the Toronto Police Service, doing that early retirement thing. I could have still been a contender. I could have, but for personal reasons, I had to leave and take care of family. So I still do what I did then, but on my own dime, and not truly, truly. I press this button. Diamond and Diamond Lawyers does help. They sponsor the show. They help make it possible. It is not cheap. It is not cheap to run a show like this between software and hardware. It's a significant investment of time and energy and financial contribution. So I really appreciate Diamond and Diamond, as well as the folks at ifinallywill.com. If you don't have a will, go to ifinallywill.com, and with coupon code or promo code AATC for Ask a Traffic Cop, use it, you get 50% off. See, I did a solid. Got you a bonus. It really is. It's important. If you don't have a will, you need one, and they want to make sure that my listeners and viewers get a good deal. So I Finally Will is also a sponsor of the show, as well as Barrett Legal, Barrett Tax Law. If you got tax issues, the government's up your hiney about taxes. They want more than they deserve. Maybe you call them. They help you out. Lots of different stuff. Got all the lawyers supporting all the legal stuff. We got lots of people who are coming. There's some exciting stuff coming for sponsorship in the new year. Well, this is the new year, so this year it's happening. What's my favorite police cruiser excluding bikes? You see, you screwed up my answer because I was going to say the Harley, not the Beamer, the Harley. But what's my? I think the Crown Vic is still my favorite. It was the most comfortable. The SUVs that came in, I found them slightly uncomfortable, especially with the police equipment in the center console. My knee would always. I'm 6'5", big guy. Never really fit in them. Then you've got the F-150s. If I could ever get an F-150 as a police vehicle, that would be that's what I used to do. That was my daily driver. My personal vehicle was an F-150. So F-150 as a police vehicle, I think, is phenomenal. And if you talk about York Regional Police, their sergeants get pickup trucks. Like, that's sick. I would do that. Okay. So to answer the statement earlier about Celebration, it was founded by Disney, but no longer owned by Disney. That's good to know. I did not know that, and the person who gave me information was inaccurate. So I thank you for clarifying that. You knower of things. What do we got here? Oh, he also says Orlando does have crazy bad drivers. My last Corvette was victim. Yes. So Brandon got a brand new Corvette. It was less than 8,000 miles, I think he said, when he got rear-ended by an uninsured truck driver that wrote it off, like $60,000 of damage to his Corvette, which is really sad. Maybe it's because it was never built for me to fit in it. That's when I was with Kerry Schmidt in the Corvette on the track at Honda Indy or Honda Dealer Indy. Our heads both stuck out of it. Like that vehicle is not made for me or he. Okay, let me see here. Oh, okay, yes. Storm Games and Vlogs, and we're coming back to TikTok in just 1 second. But he says, brought back old memories. I saw an old TikTok on the traffic services TikTok. I didn't check to see if they posted anything new. I think it's abandoned. I don't think they've posted anything on that channel in over a year. Yeah, I built that channel to like 675,000 followers, and they've done nothing with it. It's really, really sad, actually. What do we got here? Oh, Suli says, "Hey, Sean, I didn't recognize you without your uniform. Was it really that much of a deal, or is it the bushy beard? I've really let my beard go since leaving. This is not as long as it's been. In fact, this is kind of shaggy from where it was before I went on vacation. But I was on vacation. I was away for 3 weeks and I didn't shave. Didn't even trim. Like it was just like angry man, mountain man. But yeah, it's weird not having uniform. And my wife says I need to get some shirts done up. Like I need to have my own uniform. And that logo in the top left-hand corner of your screen, BTSE, stands for Better Traffic Safety and Education. It's the not-for-profit organization I founded when I left the Toronto Police. And that's the logo that I created. And maybe I need to get some stuff printed with that on it. We'll see. Okay. WXLK says, if I get a speeding ticket from an officer and take it to court and he doesn't show up, am I clear? Not everywhere. In Toronto, the practice has been to dismiss tickets if the police officer is not there. But Durham Region and York Region have been operating based on certified documents and saying that ticket on its own is sufficient to run the case. And I have mixed emotions about that. I like the fact that you can't screw around and just change your court dates just to try and get out of it, because people roll the dice. Like, they'll fight a ticket they're absolutely freaking guilty of just to see if the officer shows up and then not be held responsible. I don't think that's right. I think that is a severe waste of taxpayer money, because it's the taxpayers who are paying for the courts to be up, the JP to sit at the bench, the prosecutors, the police officers. Like, it's hundreds of dollars that the government is paying to get someone to weasel out of a ticket. And if it's just for that, I think it's wrong. So from that perspective, I like the fact that they can proceed, and they might lose, but they're going to proceed and make you go through the whole motion. And that, I think, screws with people's day enough that they might actually either avoid court unless they have a legitimate defense. If you have a legitimate defense, don't get me wrong. If you are not guilty, you're not guilty. And you should go and defend yourself with everything you've got. But if you're guilty and you're just trying to screw with the system and not take accountability, well, then I think that's where this is good. So to the very specific answer is, it depends. Toronto will probably dismiss it, and York Region and Durham are currently all over the media because they are proceeding. And I kudos to them. I think that might be a step in the right direction. Why should we throw things out if we're not there? Now, don't get me wrong. The police officer should be required for court. The police officer should be there. But if it should be that they can't make it because they're required on duty, it should not dismiss the file. It should proceed without them. That's different than saying we don't need police officers anymore and we're not going to bring them to court to testify. That is not cool. You should go forward. It should have an opportunity to lose fair and square in court. Because when you have good coppers who know how to testify and they take good notes, that's what happens. Okay. Katashi wants to know if self-driving cars are legal in Ontario, and the answer is not fully autonomous vehicles. Well, that's not true. Okay. There's different levels of autonomy. Autonomousness? Autonomy. Yeah. Level 2, 3, 4. 3 is still supervised. You have to be in the driver's seat. You have to be there ready to take over. But that's not even available in most cars. Like, when you talk about the Tesla full self-drive, that's not even level 3. That's level 2 and a bit. Because even though it's doing everything, you are required and responsible in the event of a crash. So you're in auto drive, full self-drive with a Tesla, and you drive into a tree, it's your fault, not the car's. In true level 3, it would be covered by the company in control of the vehicle, not you. Meaning it would be Ford or whomever was maintaining the full self-driviness, even though you're in the driver's seat. Level 4 is where there's nobody in the driver's seat at all. That's like the Waymo cabs. You don't have to be in the car can drive by itself. That's level 4. We don't have that. Other than, and we do have it under, unless things have changed since I left in the last year. There was a grocery company or a grocery delivery company working in conjunction with Loblaws that had 2 vehicles that, although they were level 4, no one had to sit in the driver's seat. There was a passenger with an emergency cutoff, and there was oversight from their command center. That's it. And on a university campus, there was a vehicle that was running autonomously on private property. Those are the only situations. It's part of a pilot project. So it's not legal for everybody else. Okay. Pigeon has a question. I can't see a 50 mile per hour sign when going 240 miles per hour. Is it okay to go 140 kilometers an hour on a main street past a cop posted 50? I read your questions, but I don't want to give you any time on them because they're silly. McLean followed the host, and McRae followed the host, and Chizzy, and Diablo Sanchez, and Hitchhiker, and Turtle. So thank you for the follows for y'all. I do appreciate. It's always nice to have new followers, be part of the fam. I do this. I try and post daily. It hasn't worked out for a while to be every single day, but I try and post content on a daily basis. I try and go live, well, twice a week. I was off for the holiday season, but yeah, Tuesdays 10 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 p.m., and we're going to experiment with some early morning stuff on a ad hoc basis. Okay, McLean wants to know McLean? N McLean? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. McLean. What's the best way to go if wanting to go for police foundations? Well, how old are you? And why police foundations? Do you qualify currently to apply to a police service directly? If so, if you can pass the testing, just go apply. They might hire you. You don't need police foundations. Police foundations is the course you take if you need to buy some time. You have no idea what you want to do, or you have an idea, but you want to get some education because you're young and you don't think you're going to get hired. Like, but you don't need police foundations. It's good in terms of if you're 18 and you want to do something for a couple of years to you know get some experience, I guess. But you could also take anything else, accounting, business, bookkeeping, welding, like anything, and still go be a police officer after. Police foundations gives you knowledge that will have to be untrained and retrained by the Toronto Police or Police Agency and the Ontario Provincial Police College, Ontario Police, OPC, Ontario Police College. It's not necessary, but it's not bad. It gives you maybe you take the police foundations, you go, this ain't for me. And if that happens, that's good. But I would get any training on anything else, because what you get is you get 50 people applying for the police service. They all have the same qualifications. We all took the same course. We all know each other you're the same applicant. But go get some bookkeeping or business courses or accounting or welding, mechanic, become a traffic officer with some immense knowledge that nobody else has. We have a number of mechanics who are police officers, but it gives you such a unique perspective to your resume. I would do that. Melody the mechanic. I said mechanic, and there we have a mechanic in the chat. Melody's a mechanic who knows stuff and things. You should follow their channel. And Melody has jumped on the show a number of times to talk about traffic stuff. Well, mechanic stuff in relation to anyway, you know what I'm saying. Hello, Melody. Happy New Year. We've sort of chatted. Did I wish you Happy New Year? I think I did. We did. It happened. What do we got here? Oh, there were some questions that I missed entirely on Instagram. Ryan Dids, what's the interest like for your younger adults to get into the police sports? What do you mean? Like to the police service? There's tons of interest. Do you mean because there's also a lot of police sports teams we compete? The police games is a thing, so I don't know anymore because I'm no longer in the game. But we've always had a strong athletic group and competition, and people who travel and compete. A lot of folks who are very focused on health these days, and it's great. They also want to know what I think about cameras being taken down by the government. I think it was a stupid mistake. I went and testified. They use a different term for it, but effectively testified in the Vaughan. What is it called? Government. I don't know. I went and brought up my perspective as a traffic guy, saying this is dumb. You know what they said? In light of that testimony and everybody else who came to testify, we're going to cancel it because we're buying votes. That's what they did. They bought votes. It's bullshit. It's absolute. I wrote an article for the Globe and Mail. It was published in the Globe and Mail. But the same article or variation of it is also at bettertraffic.ca. It's a bullshit sellout thing. The premier did it. It's going to cost people safety. I don't agree with it. And I have met the premier a number of times. I have no issue with him individually. I think this was a dumb move. I've said it many times. It's no surprise. I mean, if you heard this or saw this, you wouldn't be shocking him. It's the thing we disagree on. And the mayor of Vaughan, we've got into a tweet war of sorts because he doesn't think it's appropriate to give tickets to people for, just running the speed limit, like going over the speed limit by a little bit on the way to bingo. I'm like, we disagree. It's stupid what he's saying. But they're going to go spend lots of money on speed bumps that they're going to take out again a month later. because no one's going to. Anyway, I can go on for a long time about that. I don't agree with it. I don't think it was right. I think it's going to cost people safety. And I think it was because people don't like getting tickets for breaking the law. L. Grant, what's going on, brother? Says if you write a ticket, show up. That's all. It's great to show up. However, sometimes, especially in busy places like Toronto, you're required on the road. You're arresting somebody, so you can't show up. And the problem is that people win the lottery. The court shouldn't be lottery. You shouldn't be pulling the one-armed bandit thing to see, will a cop show up? Ding, 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 ding. I win because they were busy. No, you should be held accountable, in my opinion. Okay. Chizzy wants to know if you need a safety every year on a non-commercial use trailer. No. What's the best way to? Well, it depends. It depends on the weight rating. If it requires that sticker, I would imagine it would need to get a stamp. But the majority of trailers don't need safeties. Depends on the weight rating, I believe. Again, commercial motor vehicles, also trailers, not my thing. Boom, boom, boom. How do roadblocks work? That's from Bob Sacamano. Are they organized or set up last minute? And how do they decide roadblocks or road blocks? Because you put Roblox, which is a video game my children play, versus roadblocks. Like, what do you mean? For construction or for roadblocks for, police pursuit trying to stop the bad guys? Let me know, because I'm not picking it. B. Hala says, have you ever heard of the rates of insurance after dangerous driving or DUI? Oh, very high. You're basically uninsurable. And what happens is you go into a thing called facility, which is where insurance companies contribute to a fund, and because you have to have insurance available to you, but it could be $1,000 or several $1,000s a month. It ain't cheap. Don't do bad things behind the wheel, and you won't have a problem. This is you don't do things to your credit score generally, knowing that if you screw up, they won't give you credit anymore. You won't be able to buy a house. Well, you can't have nice things if you drive like a jackass. So you need the goal of a lot of what I do is to try and talk to people and express that concept before they get into problems. Change your ways. Evandro Toronto, what's going on, brother? He says, your Brazilian fan is watching again. Good to see you, brother. Stay safe out there. And let me know if you want to plug your event. I'll put it up on screen or talk about it. There's a recruiting event that's happening in Toronto soon, and it's to promote policing, and it's involving Toronto Police and Peel Regional Police, and it's organized by my Brazilian fan who wants to bring more people to policing, and he became a police officer having been a member of my audience, coming in and becoming interested as a traffic guy, and now he's a cop. And I was at his graduation. I was there for his presentation of his badge. Very, very proud. I was there for his auxiliary graduation and then his police graduation. Awesome. Love that went full circle. Can police seize the driver's license issued by another province, state, or U.S.? If yes, in what cases? Can they issue? They generally don't seize, because when we seize a license, we're usually seizing on behalf of the Ministry of Transportation. I don't believe that we are seizing, and maybe we are. I'm a little out of practice on that. Most of my experience was never seizing out-of-state drivers, so I can't relate to an experience. Now, I've arrested people for impaired that were from out of town. I don't think that but there wasn't for impaired. I've arrested them for other things and didn't require the seizure of their identification. I don't have a memory block assigned to that question. I imagine that they wouldn't seize the identity, but they would issue a suspension. It would be an Ontario suspension, so your license would not be valid in the province. I would say that that's probably what would happen, but I want to phone a friend. I don't have a definitive answer for you, my friend. If you DM me, I'll follow up with you, because I'll get you the answer. I want to confirm it now. It's bugging me. Yeah. Listen, like I say, I don't know everything and I can't remember everything. Logan Grant, who's an officer elsewhere, says, stunt driving, impaired driving while suspended. He's answering to Alex. And that was the Alex question. So apparently they do seize the license in Alberta where he serves, but I just can't remember for Ontario. I don't know. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. The offense, the offense would be appropriate, but let's say that's their only identity, like that's their only document that has their identity. I don't think taking it. I don't know. Moving on. DM me. I will find this out. I want to get definitive authority response, not just a guess. Art therapy. Hello, Danny. Hello. Let's see here. Kay Thompson says yes. I'm assuming yes is for the answer of can they seize it? It makes sense. Evandro, do you know? Oh, okay. Apparently, that recruiting event has 570 people that have signed up for it, so they're full. Okay, let's come back here. Emma says it's you. Hi, Emma. How you doing? Okay. Slow Bry guy. If he's looking to the right, he's looking at his OnlyFans account. I don't want to look at my OnlyFans account. Why would I do that? I know what's in there. It looks like me. I don't understand. I was watching some news about somebody who was very political that happens to be an OnlyFans person, and they were talking politics. I'm like, how do these people have? Anyway, it was so silly. I wasn't watching their OnlyFans. I was watching the news talking about, or a news person talking about the fact that the person who was in the news. Anyway, moving on. What do we have here? If I'm at a stop sign and I give if I'm at a stop sign and I give it quite a bit of gas but stay under the speed limit, is it punishable? It could be. It could be a lot of things because it could be careless driving if you're accelerating at a high rate of speed. It could be stunt driving if you're pulling away from a pack of traffic. There's some wording for that. Could it be careless driving if people are jumping out of the way or you've. It could be. Is it likely going to result in charges? Probably not, but it could. Okay. Oh. So Bob works at a bar in Quebec and has never seen any roadblock. Do you mean more a ride program maybe for impaired like for investigations looking for impaired drivers? Because those tend to be organized, but during holiday season, like we'll plan in advance where they're going to be. And if you have a particular problem, we have roving ones in Canada. You can stop someone and demand alcohol testing without any suspicion at all. Just everyone gets it. So it's cool. But yeah, so that doesn't have to be planned. User wants to know of my thoughts on Niagara Regional Police. I know the former chief, but I don't have any real thoughts on it. I've never had any experience working with them really. I've probably met people from there, but I don't have an opinion of the police service. Okay. Scrolling back, because I got an update and everybody's stuff scrolled away. Stand by. Park. Oh, it's Pac Marcor says, "Sir, you look old." Okay. Cedric wants to know if you're allowed to drive barefoot, and oddly enough, you are. You are legally permitted to drive barefoot. I say it's a bad idea. I say it's a bad idea. If you smash that brake pedal, you're going to hurt your toesies. It's the same answer I give every time. Yeah, you're gonna you want to have. There's other reasons too. If you get into a crash and you're barefoot and you're walking around with broken glass on the ground, it's going to hurt. If there's fire, if you have to run from the vehicle, barefoot bad idea. Flip flops really bad idea because they get stuck behind brake pedals and gas pedals and all sorts of things. So don't do that. Ah, here's a question from Evandro. Oh no, yes, it is Evandro. Okay, if I'm on a street where two right most lanes are exclusively for right turn and I'm stopped at a red traffic light, are both lanes allowed to turn right on red or only the far right lane? Everybody thinks it's the far right lane, the curb lane only, but it's actually both lanes that can make right turns on red lights, assuming it's not prohibited by sign and you've come to a complete stop and ensured you can proceed safely. You also have to turn into the appropriate lane when you make that turn. So curb lane to curb lane, and the one to the left of the curb lane into the one to the left of the curb lane when you complete your turn. But a lot of people sit there thinking that they're not allowed to go, and they are. But based on the fact that nobody else understands it, you might want to take extra caution because if you are making a right turn into what may be a middle lane and someone's deciding to speed through, you're making the turn, you're entering the roadway, and you're going to wear a lot of that fault. Even if you're allowed to make the turn, you are responsible for ensuring that turn can be completed in safety. And obviously, if you cause a collision, you didn't do it. You didn't do your job. Brandon says, I'm calling it a day. I'm back in Ontario in 2 weeks. We'll have to finally get lunch. I'm down. Let's do it. You have to get me before I go back out of town because I have to travel again for business. So, but definitely want to connect. We've been talking about it for a year. It hasn't happened, but we're going to make it happen. Why have we got to have a front plate in Ontario when other provinces don't? That's from Aki Andrew on TikTok. The answer is because we're smarter in Ontario. We don't care how cars look, but we're smarter about identifying vehicles. It's better to have two plates to identify a vehicle rather than only one. Florida has one, and you have all these vehicles like you have to back into parking lots because if you don't back into the parking lot to the parking spot, sure, if you do you can't back in because you block your plate and then they can't run your meter and then they ticket you. There's all sorts of things that don't work right if you don't have a front plate. But when Premier Ford came into the office, being like when he became premier, he actually wanted to save money, and one of his first orders of business was to cut the plates. No more plates. Logan says, "Smarter in Ontario. Come on." That's my dig at Logan, who's in Alberta. But anyway, yeah, he wanted to save money because half the plates means half the money spent, and he went to the Ontario Chiefs of Police Association and said, "What do y'all think?" I think he used different terminology when he asked the question, but he said, "What do y'all think?" And they said, one in particular who happened to later, I think he was the chief in New York, in Niagara region, said twice as many opportunities to find that missing person because of the dual plates. We want to be able to find the cars. Janeni says, I went to get my driver's license and show my passport. She put my status as permanent residence. Really? Just because? What do you mean they put their they're gathering permanent status residents? Their citizenship versus it's a freaking passport. I'm assuming your passport was a Canadian passport, permanent resident. Right. So, right. Anyway, that's wild. So I didn't know they were recording that information, but that's interesting. Scott says, were you previously an officer in Canada? I've only been an officer in Canada. I worked for the Toronto Police in Ontario, Canada. And I was with them in various capacities for 24 years. Bruv, what's going on? He says, hey, been a while. Hope all is well with you and the fam. By the way, folks here in Barbados know you and all agree that you should be voicing audiobooks. I was just in Barbados. I was on a cruise. And was I not in Barbados? Where'd I go? Hang on, I got to look at my itinerary. I think I was in Barbados. Anyway, who knows me? And tell them I say, hey. I went shopping in the stores there. I'm fairly certain I was in a watch shop there. What the heck was the name of the store? Anyway, yes, and I know the folks because I'm also a travel agent, so I know the reps for Barbados. Yes, but maybe I should be doing some voicing. It is the voiceover cop after all, and I do some voice. I've got to find out if they published the movie the short film I was in. It was the voice of a couple of characters. Okay. Wazan Naeem wants to know if a G1 driver can drive on the highway with a G driver. No, you're not allowed to be. A G1 driver cannot be on a controlled access or expressway unless they're, accompanied by a driving instructor, not a parent or G-class driver who's instructing them on how to drive, but a certified professional driving instructor. Different thing. D-Mama and Wix and what is this? Locally Hated SRT8. Awesome name. Chris, Forador, Seb, and Kai all followed. Thanks for the follows, guys and gals and people and folks. Liz with a great question. What do you think would be worse while driving? Barefoot, flip-flops, or stilettos, very high-heeled shoes? I could never of any of the above. I could never have any of the above. I definitely wouldn't be able to wear stilettos. I wear a size 16 shoe. Um, and I have no intention of ever trying to figure out how. Anyway, moving on. The deal is that I've moved the car with flip flops and barefoot, and I don't like it. I think it's bad. I can't imagine how anyone drives effectively um, in the position that a high heel shoe would do. And my suggestion for women and anyone who wears heels, for that matter, is to have driving shoes, flats that you wear in your vehicle and change to your comfies or your uncomfies, depending on how you know your perspective when you get out of the car. Where did I go? MP wants to know. Do you know the funny thing is that I have to look it up because I honestly don't remember. I don't remember the location where we docked. Okay, let's have a look. I'm gonna look at my Disney email, my confirmation email with my agenda. Where'd I go? Because I was just busy enjoying the moment. I wasn't paying attention. Disney. Let me check my email. Okay. No, that was my thing. I already put a deposit on my next one because I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, if you ever want to go on a cruise and you've got kids or you just like Disney, then go on Disney. Don't let people talk to you into something that isn't Disney when Disney's the best. It's bloody expensive, but it's really good. Okay, what was my itinerary? I went, come on, what's my itinerary? Does it not even say? Oh, here we go. Nassau. So I went Nassau, Bahamas, not Barbados. See, I totally wrong. How did I get that mixed up? I feel like a bad man. But I have been to Bahamas, to Barbados. I feel so silly. Hold on. Hang on. Oh, it was a beautiful place. Now I have to go like look at my geography again. I'm going to attribute this to me being under the weather. I probably, if I felt better, I would just know everything, but I don't today. Why is the only two private reporting centers in the city while we have a designated traffic division? Oh, so this is for a Toronto question from 4J23. Why is there only two private reporting centers in the city while they have a designated traffic division? Because they can hold the capacity. Now, the traffic division does investigate certain collisions, ones that require police to attend on scene. Um, but yeah, you don't need to waste a police officer's time for a minor fender bender. If there's criminality, if someone's transported by ambulance to hospital, if it's like there's reasons when a cop has to show up, that's not your minor fender bender, and they'd never be available if they were busy dealing with all the minor stuff. So you go to the collision reporting center because that's an efficient way to deal with the volume of minor fender benders. Greek guy says, parked in a legal Greenpeace space, my accessibility tag will be covered by snow. What do I do? If the accessibility um, pass is in the appropriate place, the parking enforcement officer is going to check for the pass. Yeah. And if they don't, you have a defense. Boom, boom, boom. TPS uniform and dress question. What was that, a service issued Keepa or your own supplied one? That's from the Rhyme Dropper. It wasn't an issue piece of kit as much as it was provided by the police service to me. So yes, it was legitimate and approved for use, but any yarmulke or Keepa that was a black or navy blue, similar to socks, like if you wear black or blue socks, that would have been okay. But that was actually the Toronto Police yarmulke. Joseph Quimby says, "Do you recommend remorse or invoking your right to silence at a traffic stop when you're being ticketed? Whatever you want. Don't use arrogance. That would be not good. And that tends to be what people go with. Don't argue. Either shut up or say sorry, but don't fight. Don't argue. Doesn't go your way. Da, da, da. Chris says, do police officers and the Ontario provincial police officers have to pay to use the 407 or is it waived? Police vehicles are exempt, but police officers still have to, like if my personal vehicle, I would pay. In my police vehicle, I would just use it. In emergencies, he specified. No, definitely not in emergencies. Devin the Wrangler, how you doing? Lucas from the Valley. How does it feel to know that my car is catless and tuned? How does it feel for me? I could give two shits. I don't care that your car is catless and tuned. I mean, you could get severely impacted by tickets and be taken off the road. That would make it feel not so good for you if you ran into the right officer. But I'm a former officer and no longer care. I mean, I care that you break the law because you choose to not care about it. But I mean, it doesn't change my day. The locally hated SRT8 says I got pulled over for burnt out license plate lights, but they are not burnt out. So did they not illuminate your plate? Like, how do you get burnt? So first of all, you don't need a reason to pull someone over. I can just pull you over to check to make sure you're insured, sober. I mean, when I was a cop, you could pull you over to make sure you're licensed, insured, sober, and your vehicle safety. I used to pull a lot of people over for no license plate light because it's a requirement. I would write that ticket all day long. And also if you change the color, if it's not white light, that is also non-functioning and inappropriate. So if you had a blue, red, green, orange, whatever, it ain't right. Get a ticket. Or if you have a license plate cover, like all those things. D Mama says, wow, I haven't seen for a while. You're verified now. I've been verified for a long time, I think. But thank you. It's good to see you. Someone identifies as a barnyard animal. They put oink, oink. And listen, if you think you're a pig and that makes you happy, then by all means, I support you being a pig. Oink, oink, back at you. Okay. Got that. Just to let you know, I got a lot of work to do still tonight. So it's been an hour and I'm probably going to wrap up soon, but I am going to try and get through a bunch of the questions because I've got, it's a chill night. So I've not been racing through them. I don't want to ignore anybody. So I'm going to try and get through them. Matt wants to know who my favorite cruise line is. I'll give you a hint. I just got off a cruise with them. Disney. I love Disney cruising. I've cruised. I happen to work with Expedia Cruise Ship Centers. I've had the opportunity to cruise a number of cruise lines. I really like Disney. It's just a different level. Now, I have not done the super high fancy cruises because it's not in my budget at the moment, but I plan to try the premium lines one day. But I have young kids, so I see no reason to. I've recently, the last 3 cruises were Disney, then before that was Royal Caribbean, of whom I've sailed with them before, and then I was on my first Princess cruise before that. Okay. Lucas from the Valley says, would you personally care about a car that is catless and has an aftermarket exhaust and ECU tuning? If it was obnoxiously loud, yes. I hate loud cars. And the communities you drive through hate you too, or hate your car. They may like you. But I don't care if you have aftermarket stuff. I don't care. Never did. If it was loud and obnoxious or had fart can pop 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 sounds, that's a different story. Then you're creating unnecessary noise and you're lending to make the community less good. It's actually a major problem. Oh, D Mama says I followed on another account and lost everything. Nice to see you again. Well, I'm glad you found me. Lucas says the same question again and again and again. Don't spam. Thomas says, got 82 and a 40, stunt driving. Road is an 80 down to 40. Cop high beaming me, so I was more focused on the road because I couldn't see shiz. 40 over. So you see, I wouldn't, if you were coming from an 80 down to a 40, depending on how far past the sign And if you were decelerating at the time, like everything matters. But it's stunt driving. 40 over in a uh, area under 80 is stunt all day long. But it would all depend. Like I wouldn't set up to do speed enforcement on the border of an 80/40. If I was in town and you were in a 40 and I was doing it, doing speed enforcement, yeah, then I do it. Betty says, "Is it legal to pass a car stopped at a light on a two-lane road, one per direction to turn right?" So it's a two-lane road. You want to know if you can pass them at a light on a two-lane road. How do you mean? Like you're going to go into oncoming traffic at an intersection? They're stopped to turn left and you want to go around them to the right? Um, Take away the intersection. I can give you a clearer answer. If a vehicle, if they take away the signal, the signalized intersection, because if someone's slowing down or stopping to make a left turn, you can go onto a paved shoulder legally to pass them if it's safe to do so. Not at high speed, but slow down and do it safely. If it's a gravel shoulder, you can't. R. Rosen says, if I get pulled over, do you apologize to the officer if asked, do you know how fast you were going? If I reply with, I was just following traffic, obviously it applies not on an empty road. Um, and then they follow up to say, can you deny an officer's request for field sobriety tests instead of the breathalyzer, or do they take you down to the station for that? If I'm 100% sure I'm sober. So two separate questions. I'll answer both of them. The first thing is, lawyers will tell you never to apologize because it's an admission of guilt. You don't have to apologize. Just to say, like, you don't have to say that, yes, I know I was speeding. Like, you can just say nothing. You can say, here's my license, here's my insurance, and here's my ownership, because that's what you legally have to do. And if they make small talk, it's generally so they can smell your breath and see if you're impaired or if your answers are giving reason. They don't care whether you apologize so much as long as you don't say, well, you got nothing better to do than to deal with someone just going 10 over. Like that would be a bad response. Like that would not be in your favor. Now, so being civil, polite, you don't have to be apologetic. You don't have to admit to doing something you may not even know, right? Can you deny an officer's request for a sobriety test? No. If the officer has a roadside screening device, they're probably going to use it. And the sobriety test, the physical one where you walk the line, is probably going to be used because they don't have the box. They don't have the machine. Is it legal to refuse? No. If you refuse to do either of those, you're going to be charged with refuse, which carries the same consequences as though you have failed. So don't do that. You're legally required to comply with those demands. They're lawful demands. Somebody says, former cop in your font. I don't know how you change the font, but your font makes it difficult for me to understand what your username is. In any case, yes, former cop. I left in September of 24. Melody says, Melody the mechanic helps keep the police cruisers on the road. Yes, indeed. Would a cop pull me over for doing 83 and an 80? I would say no. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's that insane that they would do 3 kilometers over. But no, the majority of officers wouldn't touch you for 3 kilometers over. 5 kilometers and a 30? Yes. 5 kilometers and an 80? No. 10 kilometers and an 80? Maybe. I mean, I my threshold most of the time was 15 over and a 60. If you were 15 over, I'm going to pull you over. 10 over, you might get a warning, and 15 over, you're going to get charged. Back in the day. Maple Drive says, just posted a Terry Fox tribute song. If you're a true Canadian, give it some love. I'll check it out. Traffic cams or BS? No, traffic cams. If you're talking about speed enforcement cameras, they're awesome, and they were helping keep communities safe. And the fact that they're gone is really terrible for communities. Do cops really go out of their way to pull over cars that look and sound modified, and do you agree with it? If they sound and look illegal, then that's a reason to pull them over and charge them. Okay. Johan Norris, what's going on? Can I drink and drive? Diet Coke. Four Door says we need to be the 51st state. A lot of people agree with you. A lot of people don't. I got a lot of flack. People were pissed at me for being in Florida, visiting my family. Apparently, I'm supposed to, not talk to my family that's American. or living in the States or, you know, south of any. I don't know. They were really finicky about that. A lot of people, they said, you're a traitor. You're in the States. You shouldn't go. I'm like, no, I'm going to go where I want to go. Thanks. Elbows over there. Johan says Vancouver. Right on. MK says, is it easy to be an MTO officer as it has to be a TPS officer? What is it? Is it easy to be an MTO officer as it has to be a TPS officer? And what's the process? Oh, is it as easy to be an MTO officer versus becoming an MTO officer isn't a police officer. They have authority under the HTA, but they don't have authority as police. It's different. My good friend and former partner was an MTO officer before he became a police officer, and I think he made the good move to become a police officer. Ryan wants to know if you can put blue and red lights on a tree by the road. I think it's a great idea, but I think you might get into some trouble. Technically, it's not a Highway Traffic Act offense, but is it mischief? It might be mischief. P wants to know how to solve everyone running red lights in Brampton. It's out of control. We need more red light cameras is what we need. We need more automated. I think we need more automated enforcement everywhere, actually. Andrew, thank you for this. He says, when are you going to do the MTO handbook reading? I started that last year, like 6 months ago, and I've been off track on a project that I'm hoping we're going live with our platform. It's completely outside of traffic safety education, but it is a software. It is an education platform that I'm instrumental in and part of the launch phase, and we're hoping to go live this week. We're about a month behind schedule. If that is finally out of when we're finally running, I will be able to put more time into things like that. I really want to get that project done. So many people want it, and I apologize for taking too long or longer than I expected because I thought it'd be done, but the real life and work got in the way. So I'll be back to that soon, but I can't promise when. Hopefully the next couple of weeks. Okay. John Scander says, I hate driver changing lanes with no signal or put signal right before changing lanes. Yeah. It doesn't help if they're not, well, obviously if they're not signaling, they're breaking the law and they're doing dumb stuff. But if they're doing it as they're doing it, yeah, thanks for the warning. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a pain in the ass. Bob Menchington, in your opinion, should Ontario ban right turns on red lights like they have in Quebec? I want to say that we're all grown-ups and we can pay attention and know when it's safe to make a right turn in safety. But we have so many people who don't even stop. Like, you are required to come to a stop before you make a right turn, assuming there's no sign prohibiting it. I think that there can be conditional times when we don't allow them because there's areas where we're losing pedestrians are getting killed. They're getting hurt and killed because people don't even slow down to make a right turn. Never mind stop as they're required to. But I don't want to say that I don't think we should ban them. I think it really helps traffic move. Just me saying what I think. Thomas is responding to Bob. Oh. Okay. Is it legal to turn left on a red from a one-way to another one-way? Yes. In Ontario, it is. I don't know about other places. But I've heard a number of places have the same law. As long as there's no sign prohibiting it. What does the Traffic Safety Act What does the Traffic Safety Act have to say about owning and operating a retired police vehicle? Well, you say Traffic Safety Act, which makes me think you are in a different province, possibly Alberta. And every province has been adopting different rules when it comes to retired police vehicles. Now, if they're marked as police, you might have bigger problems. If it is a decommissioned vehicle with no police markings, it's just a car. Like, you can buy a Crown Victoria, you can buy a Ford Explorer. What makes it a police vehicle? Because somebody beat the crap out of it for 2 or 3 years of its life? There's nothing against the law. You put a siren on it, that's against the law. You put police markings on it, that's against the law. Or at least it can be if you're impersonating a police officer. Slipgear says, yo, could you shout out my TikTok? I'm so close to my goal. What is your goal? But their account Slipgear. I don't know what you do. Okay. What we got here? Bro clocked me going 422 kilometers an hour. I don't believe you. Toaster Media says, if I have an Ontario plate, can I take the front plate off in provinces that do not require the fronts? Legally, you have to have both plates. Your the way it works is in Ontario, you have to have both plates. And then if someone's traveling into Ontario from another place that doesn't have it, they're exempt because they're covered by their own laws. Technically, you're not exempt. You're required to have both. Now, will a police officer give you a hard time? Probably not. But if you're in another province for more than 30 days, you've got to register. Like if you've become a resident there, you got to register there. At which point you're no longer an Ontario plated vehicle. You just switch it over. Like, what is the condition? You just want to, I'm going to go across to Quebec and take my front plate off and be a rebel for 5 minutes? Like, no, that's silly. Notwithstanding, Rob says, why is the punishment for using your phone at a red light greater than for driving through a red light? Because distracted driving is more dangerous in general than well, actually, no, it's not more dangerous than running a red light. You make a very interesting argument, but they should. What I really hear is that we should make running a red light $615 to match the distracted driving. At the end of the day, most people don't run red lights, but they definitely use their phones at them. So I think they're just trying to dissuade your traffic. Clinton Can Media, how do you daub in police officers doing donuts on major highway for almost an hour? How do you daub in police? I'm not following. Clinton, you got to rephrase. Are you saying you see police officers doing major donuts in the highway, or I don't get it. I don't know. Two Turn says, are you back from Florida yet? Yes, I am. Are you from Canada? Yes, I am. 60 minutes over. Hang on. Roadside's Big Man 98. Okay, apparently we've updated and I missed some stuff. Hang on, I'm scrolling back. Perfection Dreamer says, I have a problem with high beam headlights. What can I do? What's your problem with them? James says, lawyers say not to talk. Do cops take this as being rude? I feel being nice. Being nice, you don't have to admit guilt. Be nice. It doesn't cost extra to be nice. If they say, are you guilty? You could say, of what? And they say, we're not going to go there. We don't have these conversations on the side of the road. Ken says, shalom, shalom back. For anyone who doesn't know what shalom is, it's like aloha. It's hello, goodbye, and peace. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'll ask a whole bunch of questions. Curtis, thanks for the gifts. Bob, thanks for the gifts. That goes to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. It's a not-for-profit, so any monies, you get 5 or 10 cents. We don't get a lot of gifts on the channel. Not that we're not promoting them. Although if you do want to support us, go to askatrafficcop.ca. You can make donations there. You can sponsor. If you're a company and you want to sponsor us, you can do that too. Got some awesome sponsors. Okay, let's go back to here. What part 3 did you get the most? It was stunt. How was Jerry Agar this morning? Actually, Jerry Agar and I were on the radio yesterday. That was a yesterday thing. It was a last minute thing. Why are so many cars in the morning with no rear taillights? That's because people aren't turning on their lighting systems. They get in their car half asleep. Their daytime running lights illuminate the road in front of them, and they just think that the road is that lights are on. They're not. Christian says, what were you on before? What was your no, I'm titled before retiring? I was a police constable, first class. Actually, I was technically in training, like a training officer. Or was I a plainclothes? I don't know what category I was in, but I was a first class constable with the Toronto Police, and I was working in the media relations. I was media relations for traffic services, so I was doing traffic safety programs, which is how I ended up doing what I was doing. And I'm still kind of doing it. I just don't get paid for them buy them anymore. Okay. What's the punishment for driving alone on your G1? $110 fine, 30-day suspension, which may have actually been, they just increased some consequences. So it may have, I have to go read that again. I read it and I've already forgotten what it says. I'm operating at slightly less than normal functioning power. I'm a little under the weather. So If my answers seem like I'm talking, strange, because I don't feel very well. How do you feel about Xavier Law in BC? I don't know them. Unless that's the lawyer, the female lawyer who gives a lot of advice. They might be in BC. That might be who you're talking about. I'm curious. But I saw a video that maybe it was by them supporting the fact or stating that the what's it called, the federal law that allows the Supreme Court of Canada upheld that the mandatory alcohol screening is staying, which is good. I think that's good. Oh, Normando is back. And Normando, I believe, is a freeman of the land who quotes a lot of stuff that doesn't exist. Okay. Daniel Burki. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. If you see a plate from Europe, we see a lot lately here. Do you stop them automatically? I am no longer a police officer, but I would investigate to find out if that was a legally imported temporary vehicle or if someone's running European plates illegally in Ontario. That's what I would have done if I saw it. If I saw it today, it's very rare that you see a European plate. So sometimes people get excited and say they get their European plates and throw them on their car and drive around. Other people have legitimately taken their supercar or family vehicle across the planet. Wherever they go, they bring their car because they just love it a lot. And as long as they're temporarily moving through, that's not illegal, but they can't keep the vehicle plated that way if they're residents of Ontario. Okay. When was your show you had on here before you retired? So originally I used to do it like when I got to work I started at 6 a.m. and by 8 a.m. I did a 1 hour live show and that was really great. And then when I started going live with Jerry Agar, I switched it to 9. And then his show started going at 10. So I would do it at 10. I did it consistently there every day at the same time. And then when I left, I kept the 10 o'clock going. They were going to keep it going, I guess. And then they didn't. So I tried to do it 10 o'clock every day. But a lot of people are working at school. So I don't know if 10 o'clock is really the best time anymore, other than the fact that it links up with Jerry really well. So I might start doing some early shows because I think that's when people have some downtime before their work and school starts. So we might just do that. We shall see. If you've got an opinion, share it with me. I'm curious to know what you think. Everyone's got opinions. Okay. We talked about this. Do you have to yield to a TTC bus by law? If it is re-entering from a bus bay, yes, you can be charged. If in York Region they've got these center lanes, and honestly, I had to last minute hit the brakes because this bus was coming into my lane from the left. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? And he was just assuming I was going to let him in, but I didn't even realize he was coming into the lane until he entered my peripheral vision. I hit the brakes, and I'm assuming that would be the same thing. It's weird to have these center lanes that exit into my lane, but anyway, it's another story. But yeah, you have to yield to them. Now, technically, I think that bus driver should have slowed his roll and popped in behind me instead of like running me off the road. But yeah, just it's opinion. Can a male drive without a shirt on? Yeah, of course. A female can drive without a shirt on too. In Ontario, it's legal for men and women to be topless as long as it's not related to work. So if you were an Uber driver, you couldn't be topless as a woman, which is kind of sexist. Let's see here. Yeah, Joshua Maloney says probably take away your G1. Yeah, so I don't know if I ever finished the thought about the whole driving alone, but if you are a G1 driving unaccompanied, upon conviction, you'd lose your license for 30 days. On second conviction, you'd lose it for 90 days. And on third, you'd lose it completely and lose your G1 and you'd have to start all over again. That is if they haven't already upgraded or enhanced or made more serious the consequences, because they were talking about doing that. And I think they have. Plus the $110 fine. See, and Joshua says $110 fine, 30-day license suspension. First conviction, 90-day second, third time was getting kicked out of the program and losing all the time, which is really a big deal. Because if you've been waiting 8 months so you can get your G2, you're back to zero. Well, you're back to nothing, and then you have to go reapply and start again. You lose all money and all time. Danny Zuhair. Somebody made a left turn in front of me. I don't have insurance, and the car is not mine. Someone made a left turn in front of me. I don't have insurance, and the car is not mine. Was the car insured? Because if the car was uninsured, the owner of the car is screwed. You're screwed. Everybody's screwed. But yeah, insurance. If you didn't cause the collision, but if you're uninsured, now if you mean that you are not a person who has your own car, but you borrowed an insured vehicle, and someone cut you off, and there was a collision, and it was their fault, and they were charged, that's not driving with no insurance. That means that the vehicle is insured because the vehicle has to be insured, not you as the driver. You have to be, driving a vehicle with permission, but that's not cool. That's not fun anyway. Okay. Sawdusty says, "An injured on duty, you're a hero." I don't know. There's no context. You're talking about the fact that I got hurt. I got hurt when I was motor cop. I got hit by a car. That's why I was off the road. Y'all got antique plates in Ontario? Yes, they do. It's not the plates that exempt you from exhaust regulations. It's based on when your vehicle was manufactured. So if your vehicle was manufactured and predates the regulations, so if you had a 1970 vehicle that doesn't have seatbelts or doesn't have is it seatbelts? I think it's seatbelts wouldn't be required, and also the exhaust requirements are different. And Melody says, yeah, we have classic and antique plates. Are we supposed to change from the blue plates to the white ones? I think you should. I think those should be recalled. I've suggested it to the Ministry of Transportation when I was on the job, and they didn't have any plans to do it, but I think it's a good idea. Okay. Aiden, do you think buses will be canceled tomorrow in Brampton? Like forever, or just because the weather's supposed to be ridiculously cold? I have no idea. Will it be a school day? Melody says yes. No, Melody said yes to somebody else. Disregard. Nafi says, I moved 6 months ago and I haven't updated my driver's license address. But sorry, I don't. I moved 6 months ago and I don't updated my driver's license address, but not my insurance address. Can I get a ticket? You have 6 days to notify the Ministry of Transportation of changes to your driver's license. 6 days. And your insurance company needs to know you changed your address as well, because they're charging you insurance based on your location. You change your address, your rates may change for better or for worse. So yeah, you can get in trouble. Like your insurance company could say, you didn't update your insurance. We're denying your claim. That can be very expensive. Bones Jones says, defund the police. Good for you, Bones Jones. You've identified yourself, and now we all know who you are. Who gives it? I don't understand why people say stupid shit like that. Lucas, I've answered your question, but you keep asking it. Okay. Ace says something. They're saying that new immigrants are always talking on their phones and not paying attention to the road. I don't know if that's only new immigrants. I think that everybody's on the road not paying attention and on their phone, which is why they've raised the fines for that charge from $125 to $175 to now $615, because people aren't getting the message. I don't think it's anything to do with immigration status or recent addition. I just think everyone's on their phone. And Bob says the same thing. It isn't just new immigrants. Absolutely. Let's see here. Fred says that sucks, but I don't know what sucks. Smoke 3 says, well, I still get the merit points if I got them in Quebec and I live in Ontario. Will my insurance know? Yeah, we talk. So that you're part of the same system, so you're going to get notified. Or they'll get notified. Low battery guy just sent an emoji. What's going on, low battery guy? I've never seen that emoji before. Microphone headset emoji on Kick. You're the first person to comment on Kick today. Welcome. Hey, if you're new to the channel, I do this a lot. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I said I was going to do this for an hour tonight, and here we are at an hour and a half. And I have other stuff to do, but I'm still doing it because I want to try and get through all these questions. And Perfection Dreamer asked about high beam headlights earlier. I didn't understand the context of their question, and I still don't. You mean that your eyes hurt with high beams? What do you mean? I'm all stuffed up. I'm a little under the weather. Yeah. That must be really annoying. Terrible sound. No ASMR there. No stuff schnoz. Jazz Deep says, on a red light while turning right with stop here at red lights, can I take a right after? Try that again. On a red light while turning right with stop here at red lights, can I take a right after stopping? In Ontario, if it's not signed, if there's no sign prohibiting right turns on reds, then you are allowed to make a right turn on a red if you come to a complete stop and only proceed when it's safe to do so. But you're responsible for what happens if you were wrong. Brent Thompson wants to know if it's legal to have tint on the front eyebrow of a windshield within the lines. So AS1, top 3 inches of the windshield, you can have window tint there if your vehicle was manufactured 2016 or earlier. 2017 and newer cannot have any tint on the windshield at all whatsoever. Can someone pass me using a turning lane? That's from Josh Mack. No, turning lane is a turning lane, not a passing lane. I have video that I've published on my channel where a Mustang passed me on the turning lane or the shoulder and a turning lane. And it was a douchebag move and it's ticketable. Could be actually a very serious ticket. Could be careless driving. Could be dangerous driving if you really think about it. Perfection Dreamer says, is there no rule of high beaming, glaring headlights in city or bumper to bumper traffic? Yes, you can't have, you have to turn off your high beams within 150 meters of oncoming traffic and I think 60 meters following. So yeah, there are rules and yes, they should be charged. But chances are it wasn't high beams. It was likely misdirected or super high white LEDs. Is it legal to have any color coding on the front windshield and side windows? Color coding includes, Toronto Dot says it's illegal to have. Yes, no, sort of. It's illegal to have on the front windshield, but it's not illegal to have color coatings on the side windows. You're allowed to have up to 30% light blocking material. You can't have reflective, but you can have 30% light blocking on the windows left and right of the driver. Nothing on the windshield, but up to 30% on the windows left and right. Now, if it's more than that, or if the lighting conditions, ambient conditions, make it impossible to identify the driver, to see inside, obscuring the interior of a motor vehicle is a $110 ticket by way of using color or reflective tint. JL5 says, if I call 911 about a crash that I did not witness, should I stay there? Calling to notify is great. Do you need to stay? Not necessarily. However, if you're concerned about the occupants of the vehicles involved, checking to see if they're okay and because you're giving information, but you're only giving a little bit. What if there's someone's trapped in a vehicle and you could take 2 seconds and find out, even if you just pull up, hey, is everybody okay? Has anybody called 911 yet? You don't have to, I stop and check in with people all the time. And I may see you sometime. If you get into a crash, I pull over and I'll ask and I'll find out. And if somebody is not okay, then I stay and I give information. I may render first aid. It depends on what's going on. Melody says, if I was going to go on a cruise, it would be Cunard or somewhere with icebergs. Cunard is the top tier of their. Is it Princess and then Cunard? Or is it? Oh, my brain. No, I'm not going to try. But anyway, Cunard is a premium. I've never sailed with them. I'm positive I've taken training, and I just cannot pull that out of my brain right now. Why they call it stunt if stunt is jumping off a ramp? Big Man 98 might be a former JP, same icon. Maybe not. A man I have to give a phone call to still. Toaster Media. No, we talked about that. Hydroplaned on highway, damaged only my car, no one around. Cop gave me careless driving at hospital. Yes. If you hydroplaned, you were likely traveling at a speed that was faster than the road conditions allowed for. And is that the right charge? The officer thought so. Did a charge need to be laid? Not necessarily. But that's one that you might want to fight. Maybe you were traveling at the appropriate speed maybe you're doing 10 under and it was just road conditions. Maybe. Maybe you're guilty, maybe you're not. Okay. Transport taking left on the advanced, opposing car taking right on red. The advanced making the left has the right of way. They have a green light. You have a red light, and you can only proceed when safe to do so. The left turning vehicle has the priority in that particular situation. Big Man says right of way to the person going straight. Yeah, turning vehicles are always in a strange situation. If someone videos you speeding, can you use that to charge them? If someone videos you speeding, so if you video somebody else speeding, can a police officer lay charges based on it? Not generally enough information alone for that. You need time, date, location, identifiers for the vehicle and the driver. Maurizio says, I've noticed a lot of drivers pulling U-turns on red lights here in Waterloo region. Not legal. You cannot enter the intersection on a red. Greetings and salutations from my buddy. Here we go. Put it on screen. Akela Dracona says, greetings and salutations. Just a quick post and go. So here's a question. My wife asked me today, is there a new law about eating while driving? What are the new laws that came in January 1st? I should do a video on this. There's been some changes to consequences that I've not read. I skimmed through them, but I haven't reread them. I'll have to look at that. But no, there's no law about eating or driving that I have seen. So I think you're okay. Other provinces do charge for it. I would consider that to be distracted driving. I don't believe that there's anything in Ontario that would cover that. Dylan wants to know if I was with the RCMP. No, I was with Toronto Police when I was a cop. Okay. Man, I went way long. Way long, way over. Okay. I'm scrolling now looking for the good questions. If I miss you, I apologize. Naper says, Toronto Police can't get me, buddy. Okay. I love the people who make these silly comments. Naper says, I speed every day in my Corvette, and no one can get me. Famous last words. Driving a tractor on the road requirements yellow light. What kind of tractor? For what purposes? Is it a implement of husbandry? You have your triangle on the back. You need a triangle. Slow moving vehicle sign. But it really depends on whether you're just driving it because you want to drive it on the road, or are you driving it in relation to, farming land or whatnot. Sasky Fella says, retired RCMP member here, Sean. I have enjoyed your page prior and now. Cheers. Oh, right on. Send me a DM so we can. Wait, we're going to find you. Hang on a second. But send me a message because I'm logged in here in my moderator account, because I can't have two accounts open at the same time, or I can't have the same account open on two devices. Oh, here we go. I'll follow you from my other account from Shapiro Wired. I think this is Shapiro Wired. It is. But awesome. Yeah. Maybe we bring you on the show and talk about your time with the RCMP. I really want to have active duty cops and retired cops, and I'll do some podcasting with some folks who've worn a uniform. And I think it makes for some interesting conversation. Things I want to do in the future. Are coil overs legal in Ontario? That's a Melody question. And oddly enough, Melody already responded saying coil over suspension like a McPherson strut. Adam Park says, as a type 1 diabetic, do I need to report that to the MTO? That's a medical question for your doctor. I don't know. I don't think you do. Although if you're not in control of your diabetes and it leads to a collision, you could find yourself being in some trouble. So I mean, most insurance asks you medical questions. Consult with your doctor. I don't think type 1 diabetes needs to be on a driver's license, but you know what? Can't hurt to call and find out. Hey, can I ride a green plated dirt bike on the road with my M1? Dirt bikes are not street legal with any license. Okay. Can police just pull over and park in a no parking zone? I think is what you mean. There you go. No parking zones to get a coffee. Yeah, they actually can. A lot of people get really upset with the idea. And I'll give you this scenario, and I think we're going to wrap it here. If you have a police officer that needs to get a coffee or food or pee or water or whatever, and there's nowhere to park, would you, and this is just what would you rather them do? Would you rather they park in front of the coffee shop illegally or in a place that you're not allowed to go, run in and grab their stuff, knowing that if they get a call for emergency service to respond, they run, they dump the coffee, they zip up, they don't eat the food, they get in the car and they go to that call, but they jump out the door and into the car and they go, meaning that the response time is lower than if they had parked down the street and around the corner to the first legal spot that they could find so they didn't offend anybody. Because they're not going to get into trouble. They're allowed to do it. But it's the optics. People don't like that they're parked in a no parking zone. Or they say, well, what about having the partner stay in the car and drive around? Well, now you have an emergency call where one police officer has an officer safety concern because they're inside alone and their partner's in the car alone and they can't go anywhere until they're together. It's a bad spot to be in. Now, as a traffic officer, I was alone. I never had a partner. When I had a partner, I would usually jump in on my own, even though it's an officer safety risk. Listen, my friend was murdered getting coffee. He was murdered. He was waiting for his coffee and he got shot in the head. It's an officer safety risk just for being a cop. There's full justification for why you would want a cop to be parked out in front just to be able to jump in and go, because it means faster time to respond to an emergency. But yeah, they can do it. No, listen, if they're going to park and eat a sit-down lunch, should they park in the no parking zone? No, I don't think so. Picking up food and going, I have no issue with it. And I don't think any supervisor, manager, or person or policy, I don't think they're breaking any policy. Optics sucked. No question. Okay. I said I was going to wrap it there, but I saw a question. I thought it was going to be good. Hang on one second. Oh, I just saw your message. Cool. Interesting. Someone wants to know what the origin of my name is. I think it's because the town of Spiro in Germany or something like that. I Googled it. You can Google it. I Googled it. It was interesting, but I don't know if it's true. The only difference between a G2 and a G is I'm allowed to drink and drive with a full G. Not true. The G2 has to be retested every 5 years. Okay. Question was, are you allowed to have alcohol or za? Za? Pizza? What's za? If you're from the dispensary. So you can have sealed alcohol or sealed marijuana if it's sealed in its original container and sealed. That you're allowed to have in the vehicle. If it's sealed, if the seal's being broken, it has to be in the trunk or compartmentalized away from the driver. Okay. I thought there was a really good question that I saw pop up. What does reduced speed mean what is the expectation? A reduction of speed that's significant, not just like 2-3 kilometers. But it depends on what the context is, like when, where. What's your opinion on making pullover for green light law? I would, Adrian, this is, so flashing green lights are volunteer firefighter lights. They're used for other reasons as well, but that's the primary function for volunteer medics and firefighters. Right now, they're courtesy lights. The request is that you get out of the way. Does not require you to. Does not give you license to do anything tremendously special other than that. I think it should be. I think you should get red lights. But that's just me. Okay. I am no longer able to concentrate enough to get these. I said I'd be here for an hour and 45 minutes later. I'm still here. And I gotta go. In Ontario, it's mandatory for cars to have amber front side reflectors. Can I change them to clear? Yeah, if the light emitted, is it reflectors that they're mandatory? This is a good melody question. But it's that they have to emit, like signal lights have to emit an orange light. So you can have an orange bulb with a clear shield versus an orange shield. But you say reflectors. Do you mean light? That's not what I meant to put there. Oh, we got Akil who says, thanks, Sean. Gotta go. Stay safe. Remember, don't have a good day. Have a great day. I like that. That's good. That's good messaging. Brent says, hey, I got a question. I am like not functioning. Okay. Cam says it's not an offense if you don't get caught. That's bad advice. Sir, what is that? I minor rear-ended someone 2 weeks ago, and we decided to deal with it to settle private. What if I ghost him? Well, first of all, that's a douchebag move. But like to ghost someone, you've been in a collision. I would hope they have your information. They can still go report you. I don't like these private settlements. And if you are over $5,000 combined now, as of last year, $5,000 damage amongst all vehicles, you're legally required to report. And if they decide to report and you don't, you could be charged under the Traffic Act for not reporting a collision as required to. I had a sealed weed container I just bought, and it was still in the back. Where? Who? That's from Hopscotch Mafia. Are you in Ontario? Like, how do you get in trouble for having sealed weed in the vehicle? If it's sealed, you can have it in your pocket, sealed, factory sealed, from a legal dispensary. That you talk to a lawyer. Okay. What happens if you slide on ice through a stop sign and get caught? You're responsible for stopping. You can still be charged for running the stop sign. For the collision was less than $2,000. If the $2,000 is no longer a threshold, so still a douchebag move. They can still report you and say that it's not worth it. Why would you ghost them? Cool. Yes, Sasky, gotcha. Got that message, saw it pop up. All right. Liz says, thanks for interacting for nearly 2 hours. I'm so needing of a nap, but I've got to do work now for a couple hours. Have a wonderful evening. Drive safe, drive sober, stay warm over the next couple of days. It's going to be cold out there. And as per usual, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former cop who talks traffic safety, traffic law, and tries to help you out with questions you have. I don't know everything. I know what I know, and I don't what I don't. But if you've got questions, throw them in the comments. If you want to know stuff and I'm not live streaming, put them in the comments, send me DMs. I try and answer everybody, or go to askatrafficcop.ca and send me a voicemail. It's a great way to do it. If I get really good stuff, I'll sample it. I'll put it up on the show. We can make you part of the show. And looking for folks who are cops, who are people involved in the traffic safety industry, who want to come on the show and talk about stuff. Not necessarily the After Dark, but we're trying to relaunch the Traffic Jam podcast. I recently I recorded just the end of last year before I went out of town, a really good episode that I screwed up the editing of and had to start again. But it's an episode all about tires from someone in the industry, and it's really cool. At least as a traffic geek, I think it's really cool. So that's coming out real soon. Follow me if you don't already follow me. I'm on all the platforms, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night, and we'll see you Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. for the next live stream. But I hope to get a bunch of content out from now till then. All the best, everybody. Take care. Yeah. TikTok Tick says, why can I legally drink and drive with my G, but not you? You can't legally drink and drive. You can't consume alcohol in your vehicle, for one. You can't be impaired. And you have to be 22 years old to have more than 0 blood alcohol in your blood. So you're incorrect. You can't drink and drive. You can have some alcohol if you're 22 and over, but not over the legal limit. Anyway, see what happens. I say goodbye, then I still answer questions. Just can't stop. I gotta stop. I'm ignoring everybody now. I need more tea.